In this lecture, we'll be going over the Dogon tribe of West Africa and the hidden numerology of the Dogon. My YouTube name is Kmtcminds, and this lecture overview will be covering a little bit about me. I am a spiritual messenger, a light worker. I love understanding the origin of things, and I'm proud of my race. I'm interested in helping others who want my help and look forward to bringing you the hidden knowledge of many things. So what will this short lecture cover or reveal? This lecture will reveal the numbers behind the Dogon using the ancient knowledge of Egypt, aka Kemet. Why is this information important? This will leave no doubt about the numerology methods of Pythagorean numerology and other numbers to be valid and something that can confirm claims or give you the sense or vibration of a word or groups of words. This will also help us to know more about the Dogon tribe in West Africa in a way that you maybe haven't seen it quite yet. But what I hope you get out of this lecture is to understand the importance of numerology, help you understand the vibration of numbers and words. And so, who are the Dogon? So let's get into who are the Dogon. The Dogon are an isolated tribe in West Africa that are descendants of the ancient melanated black Egyptians. This is a painting that I created showing the ceremonial masks as well as one of the tribe members communicating, maybe getting information through Sirius. So located in Bandiagara and Dounza in Mali, West Africa, the Dogon are highly spiritual people just like the ancient Kemetic people as well. The Dogon tribe's religious system is centered around worshiping ancestors and spirits. The Dogon are most known for their dancing and artistic masks and ceremonies. And from my research into the Dogon, they are once again very highly spiritual people. They hold knowledge that science later found out about. So if we look at the Dogon numerology plus the connections, we can see that the word Dogon sums to 28 in what's called Pythagorean numerology, which is a reduction form of numerology. So if we take, for example, M, the 13th letter, 1 plus 3 gives you 4, and you would simply add up any double-digit number that is in the word itself. So the double-digit letters would be O, O, and N, and you would add those numbers together, and then that would give you you would reduce down to a single-digit number, and then add all the numbers together, and that's what gives us the number 28. And reverse reduction is the same thing as full reduction, and that gives you you'd basically start from the letter A would be the 26th letter of the alphabet, and then you would count down from the letter A, so 26, 25, so forth and so on. That will give you the reverse direction of the alphabet. English ordinal is the simple form of numerology, adding the numbers behind the letters together in whatever placement they are in the regular alphabet. And then the opposite or the reverse would be starting with 20, the number 26 being starting with A instead of 1. So here we have Dogon. The main form of numerology we'll be using is what's called Pythagorean numerology. And so Dogon sums to 28, Egypt sums to 28, original people sums to 82, which reflects 28. The reflection is like looking in the water and you see yourself, but it's not the clearest picture, but it is you. Okay, so it shares a similar vibration, of course, is what I mean by reflection. Now the word Moors sums to 28, and Moors were the African or black people that lived as well as a group of people, and is also used to describe someone who has darker skin, and Moorish. So one thing I found interesting was the 101 sequence that all of these words share. Okay, check out the word numerology origin equals sums to 20, sums to 100. 1 plus 0 gives you 10, and then it reduces down to 1. When you add 1 plus 0, it gives you 1, and then you get the 101 sequence in this first number as you reduce it down. So for example, original people sums to 82. 8 plus 2 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. But you see in this case it would be 82, 10, 82, 8 plus 2 gives you 10, and then you have 1 as your root number, and that gives you 101. Same thing with Egypt and Dogon. This reduces down to 101, which is the original, usually looked at as the basics or the foundation of an educational course. So we're going to talk about the word original and how it links with the number 49, and other words that link with the number 49. So now let's look at the word original knowledge. So original knowledge sums to 91. 9 plus 1 gives you 10. 1 plus 0 gives you 1. And you'll get 101. That sequence which lines up with everything else, so it shares a similar vibration. Also, 1 is usually looked at as the origin. 9 holds the previous numbers. This is telling us that the original knowledge is associated with the original people, which is associated with Egypt, which is associated with the Dogon tribe. 91, when we write it out as a word, sums to 49, which sums back to which shares the same numerology as the dog star Sirius, which equals 49, which the Nomos, who gave the Dogon knowledge, and that's where they are said to come from, share those same numbers. So what this is telling us is that the Dogon tribe are the original people, or associated with the original people holding the original knowledge, which is highly spiritual and connected to the cosmos. So another 28 word is Ma'at. Ma'at equals 28 in reverse Pythagorean numerology, which is the African goddess Ma'at. 82, when we write it out as a word, equals 51. And the chief Dogon priest Ogo Temeli equals 51 as well. So we can see how all of this links back together with everything. Okay, so original knowledge, and then you write out 91 as a word, and you get 49. 49 is the same as the dog star Sirius, 49. The word Egyptian priest sums to 77. Pythagorean numerology. When you write out 77 as a word, it equals 49, which links back to Sirius, which links back to the original knowledge. Okay, so this is letting us know that if the Dogon story is true, the original knowledge came from Sirius. Okay, you look up at the night sky, you see melanin, you see darkness, black matter. Once again, when we look at these other, so we're going to look at a group of other words. We have the Sirius B and A, which are two dwarfs. Those are dwarf stars, white dwarfs that orbit one another. They're binary. Sirius B sums to 34 with a root of 7. 3 plus 4 gives you 7. Sirius A is 33. 3 plus 3 gives you 6. Nemesis, the Greek god of divine retribution, which is based off of Ma'at and Isis. And of course we have Isis sharing the same numerology of 34 as Nemesis. Nemesis was derived from the ancient African goddess Isis. And of course demonized in the media, the African goddess demonized in the media using this word to describe a terrorist. But anyways, serpent equals 34. Moorish equals 43. The origin of the English term Moor is the Greek word mavrao, which literally means black or blackened or charred. So Egyptian sums to 43, sharing that same vibration as all these other numbers except for Sirius A. So that's letting us know, once again, that we can see those connections. Ancient Egypt sums to 58. Egyptian priest sums to 85, the reflection of 58. Ancient Egyptian sums to 74. Stolen history sums to 74. And of course we know many of the ancient Egyptian history has been stolen and whitewashed. So let's talk about the Dogon's vowels and consonants that are displayed here. So let's look at the vowels of the Dogon tribe. We have 12 and 3 as the vowels. 1 plus 3 gives you 1 plus 2 gives you 3. 8, which also corresponds with the letters A, B, C, and with the number 101, which is the motivation of the soul's urge. So this is what the Dogon's vibration, their urge is simplicity and originality. And we have that 1, 2, 3 sequence. So the Dogon are motivated by the simple things in the universe, and art carries the same vibration as the word Dogon, and art sums to 12 or 3 in terms of the vowels. Now when we look at the consonants of the Dogon tribe, which has to do more about how the Dogon's personality operates, we're looking at the numbers 16 and 7. Now they read a lot and think deeply about things. They seem to be secretive about things, and of course the Dogon have certain things that they keep private, and they do tend to think deeply, as some of their priests do. And when we look at these letters behind these numbers, we have the root of 7. So G is associated with 7 in the alphabet, so it is very intuitive and draws in knowledge, and that's what they do. We talk about them holding the original knowledge. As I brought out earlier, the bearer of this number can overcome anything through the silence and meditation, qualities of the 7, which is a more spiritual number. So the Dogon's personality is very spiritual. Consonants and vowels, which is your destiny. 28, 10, and 1 is the numbers that are associated with the consonants and the vowels, which is this middle data entry here. So we have B and H. So B, its 3 basic meanings are house, mouth, and womb. H resembles a ladder, and a ladder has 2 directions, up or down, so we can descend into the negative or ascend into the positive by our thoughts as well as our deeds. As above, so below. So Dogon etymology. A Dogon in reverse is no God. Gon from the Greek word gonos, or angled. Do, make, act, perform, cause, to put, or to put in place. Now there's another anagram. When we're talking about etymology and anagrams, there is an anagram associated with the word nomos, which I believe is associated with math. And it's interesting that if the Dogon share the original knowledge, they would have knowledge of mathematics, and numbers. So let's look at the C and V again. So if we look at the numbers 28, 10, and 1, we can get these letters that are associated with those numbers. And this is called the total expression of the destiny. So what we see and what we can pronounce is the word Ba. Another spiritual entity was seen as a human-headed bird hovering over the deceased or exiting the tomb in the hieroglyphics, or the Gematrinator, and was a part of the soul that could travel between the worlds of the living and the dead. So that was what was the Ba, or another spiritual entity, a part of the soul, the Ba. And we talk about the Dogon being spiritual people. So that's what you can do, is pronounce these words behind your name and get another meaning. So is numerology actually something we can look at as valid? Are there any other examples to validate numerology? Well, yes, there are. We can look to our African ancestors to get information that can help us get insight. And of course, this is the painting that I did called Remember Kemet. And this painting has a lot of symbology behind it, but in these symbols, you can see sacred geometry and numbers, which was needed to build the great monuments that are tens of thousands of years old, older than what we know. And so let's look at some of these examples. I want to use nature as an example of how valid numerology is to me. Not only does numerology validate by drawing links and parallels to other words, but by looking at the very words themselves and comparing them to the numbers, we can then get insight even deeper on how numerology helps and affects us as something that is valid. So let's look at the word nature and the etymology of nature. It means restored powers of the body, bodily processes in the late 13th century. From late 14th century as creation, the universe, also hereditary, birth, hereditary circumstance, essential qualities, or innate disposition. So look at the words creation and the universe associated with nature. And that's of course from Etymology Online. And the numerology of nature is 27 and 7, highly spiritual again. Now this example is an example we can look at. So we have nature here. N is the 14th letter of the alphabet. 1 plus 4 gives you 5. Mankind is said to have 5 senses. And of course nature affects your 5 senses all around you. The letter N itself has 2 V's in it. V is the 22nd letter of the alphabet. When you have 2 numbers aside, 22 is a master number. And another number that's similar amplifies the power of the other number. So what we have is 2, which is a more feminine number in nature. And nature is said to be referred to as Mother Nature. We all come from a woman. And we have 2 V's. 2 V's form a W. A W is the 23rd letter of the alphabet, which gives you 5. 5 is representative of the letter E. E is open-ended. Is in nature open-ended. So now we have 2 5s associated with, so we also have 55 associated with nature. E and E. Okay, open-ended. Okay, nature always open-ended when you first enter into nature. Okay, but we've gotten kind of away from nature. So if we add the letters 2 plus 2 or 22, which is V, V the 22nd letter of the alphabet, we get what? 4. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. Completion. Completion of nature. Completion of the open-ended nature. Okay, completion. The open-ended completion. Okay, that's the vibration that I'm getting from that information. So A is the first letter of the alphabet, meaning origin. So the open-ended origin of completion is what we have so far. T. T resembles a tree in and of itself. It's the 20th letter of the alphabet. 2 plus 0 gives you 2. 2 is duality. And there's always 2 sides, usually to the middle of a word. The middle word. It's like a seesaw. What happens when nature is out of balance? It's, things can go astray. Animals end up where they're not supposed to be, and so forth and so on. T is the 21st letter of the alphabet. 2 plus 3. 2 plus 1 gives you 3. Now, we're going to move on here. We have R as the 18th letter of the alphabet. 1 plus 8 gives you 9. 9 holds the knowledge of the previous numbers. Okay, so the previous words or letters. Once again, we have another E, open-ended. So nature starts open-ended and ends open-ended. So do you see how just looking at the letters themselves, we can get a goggle or a window into the vibration of this word. It's deeper than just saying, okay, let's just associate some numbers with it, but we can also get visual references to the word along with validating them with the esoteric knowledge, which is a lot of what numerology relies upon. What we got to understand is that the ancestors would look at nature and then form those mathematical calculations, and it wasn't something where someone was just making up stuff as they go, or somebody's theology or dogma. The numbers themselves form the very foundation or the very art of thinking, which is what the etymology of that means, mathematics. So when we talk about numerology being valid, this one word gives me plenty of validation that this is something we can look at to get a clear picture of what this word is really about, without even just knowing the numbers behind it and how they all interact and work. You can find out more information. Let's also look at this other example. Here we have two ellipses, two circles, series A and B. And then if you look, there is a number 8 associated there. You can see the number 8 on its side, series A and B. A is a more feminine number, nurture, nature. We talk about Mother Nature being feminine. We have two circles, so that gives you 2. So you have 2 circles and an 8 on its side, so that gives you 28 visually. And let's not even talk about what letter of any alphabet is. Visually, you get the number 28 just by looking at Sirius A and B orbiting each other. Okay, that's just how real this knowledge is, and how beneficial it can be in your life is by looking at your numbers, letters, understanding, comprehending, understanding, overstanding. You can get all of the insight you need to find out the truth behind a lot of events that are unfolding as we speak. So in conclusion, Pythagoras was a student in ancient Memphis, the capital of Egypt. Of course, we use Pythagorean numerology to break down a lot of this information. Pythagoras studied in Memphis, which was the capital of Egypt at the time. Again, I have to reiterate that. And he learned from the Egyptian priests and had to be given that knowledge from the pharaohs. One of the last African pharaohs at that time was Ahmose II, so he had to get permission to even teach what he taught. And people give him all this credit, but like I said, you have to still give credit where credit is due. It was the original people holding the original knowledge, which the Dogon still carry on to this day, being highly spiritual people. So like many areas of study today, the ancient Africans helped set the standard for many different forms of science and get no credit, just like a lot of things today. Even the word mathematics comes from the African deity Tahuti. Tahuti being the African god of science, math, wisdom, and knowledge. What this information shows us is that numerology can be a reliable way to understand the vibration behind words and how they relate to other words. And also by looking at the word itself, we can get insight on what the word could mean. If we know a little bit about the meaning, maybe we can get a deeper meaning. My next lecture will cover the origins of astrology. And you can check out my site, which is Kmtcminds.com. I'll also leave a link to my artwork. Thank you for watching this channel on YouTube. I appreciate any support. We'll be back at it again soon. I really want to take the time for my lectures and research that I do. I find this to be very important to gaining insight on the many lies and deceptions that exist in today's society. The ancestors have literally are channeling through me to bring you this knowledge. And I want to give out some ashes for a minute. I want to give out an ashe to Anubis. Anubis ashe. Ampu ashe. I'm going to give a shout out to all gods known and unknown, ashe. All past family members, ashe. And ashe to you for watching and staying through this lecture. If you made it to the end, congratulations. You're a rare breed. And I hope you enjoy this journey we're about to take. Thank you again for subscribing to Kmtcminds. Protect your soul, protect your mind, and protect yourself. Peace, love, Hotep. Until next time.